So you have 20 years of experience, a stack of testimonials, clients who think you're brilliant. So why is nobody calling? I'll tell you exactly why. And it's probably not what you think. There's an uncomfortable truth, There's a reason why experienced, qualified business people just stay invisible. And that has nothing to do with their ability, nothing to do with the market, nothing to do with the algorithm or the economy. However inconvenient that excuse may be, it's beliefs. Stubborn, familiar, completely understandable beliefs that sit quietly in the background and keep your expertise locked away where nobody can find it. Over the years I've worked with so many established business owners and I see the same patterns coming up again and again and again. And in this video I'm going to name 7 of them, and it might get a little personal. Belief 1 is that good work should sell itself. And the horrible truth is that it actually doesn't. It just sits there looking smug in the corner while somebody else with half your experience and twice your confidence walks off with the contract. Good work is the basis. It's the entry requirement. It's the baseline. Prospects already assume you know what you're doing. That's why you're in the meeting in the first place. But it won't close the deal on its own. Belief 2 is that staying quiet is the same as staying modest. There's a version of humility I generally quite respect, but there's another version which is just fear wearing a nice coat. Paul Simon had a line, "The man in the gabardine coat is a spy." The spy isn't modest, the spy is hiding. Are you the person in the gabardine coat? Staying quiet feels principled, like you're above all this chest thumping stuff, But in the meantime, your less experienced competitors are not making the same mistake. Belief 3 is that, you'll feel ready eventually. Haven't we all done that? By the way, if you're finding this useful, just hit subscribe. I do this quite a lot. I was that person, 20, even 30 years of experience, and I was still waiting for that moment to feel comfortable and talk about what I did. Even a few months ago, the idea of doing YouTube videos would have filled me with terror. So here's what I've learned. That feeling doesn't come along uninvited. It never has, it never will. So don't wait for confidence just to turn up and then you can act. Act first, the confidence comes with you. It follows. Reluctantly, perhaps, kicking and screaming, perhaps, but it does follow. Belief 4 is that, self-promotion is for desperate people, isn't it? You opted out entirely rather than find a version that didn't feel like standing out in a market in a marketplace with the old proverbial coat full of knockoff watches. There's a version of self-promotion that feels nothing like self-promotion. It looks just like you telling the truth, having an honest conversation about what you do and why that matters. It's not rocket science, really it's not. If you've already decided it's beneath you though, you're never going to find it. Belief 5 is that your story is boring because you know it too well and nobody else is interested. You've lived it for so long you can't see it anymore because it's your everyday. That slightly weird career path, that unexpected pivot, that hard-earned perspective that makes you genuinely different, well, all of that fades into background noise in your mind. But what you find is ordinary and obvious is to somebody else quite extraordinary. And you don't realise this stuff. Your story was always there. It just needs someone else to point it out. Belief 6 is rewriting your bio once again will fix the problem. Let's face it, we've all done it. I certainly have. Tell me you haven't spent an afternoon moving words around your LinkedIn profile and called it a strategy session, or tweaking your website content, just changing one word, because that might make all the difference to having and having kind of clients flocking to your door. Tweaking your bio is a writing exercise. Fixing your positioning is a strategic one. You can have the most elegantly written bio in your industry and still sound like everybody else, because words are fine. The underlying thinking hasn't changed. It's a different problem, a different solution with different results, changing your positioning. Then belief 7 is you're the only one that feels this. This discomfort is just for you, all special just for you. Nobody in your peer group talks about this, so you just assume it's just you. Nobody else thinks it's difficult. Nobody else thinks that they're never going to get anything. So you think your failure, so-called failure, is private. Something that you have to quietly fix or quietly endure. Well, you know it isn't. It isn't. It's the most common problem in the world, practically. Everybody is just too uncomfortable to talk about it. So if any of this means anything to you, drop a comment and let's have a discussion about these things. You know, I obviously read all the comments, and I'll tell you also what I think about myself in the unguided moments. And if you want to go deeper than this, well, my Substack is in the is in the description, and there'll be a link to a video about why your backstory is probably your biggest untapped asset. And I'll see you in the next video.